Alrighty, guys. Very far, top left corner, it's going to be Team Liquid's very own Snoot as your blue Zerg player. Very far, bottom right corner, Tassadar, light pink Protoss.
That is right. And Tassadar, what a great game played last time. I mean, Hero didn't make all that big of mistakes. I mean, he didn't scout his opponent quick enough. He could have defended better against the Phoenixes at times, but I mean, we're talking about things that are relatively minute errors that Tassadar was able to take advantage of and just put on an incredible display of PvP. I mean, really cool stuff. Showing
why he's been essentially the game ender. I don't want to say ace anymore because he never was in a position to actually have to finish off everything. He just killed everyone to finish off the series for NsHOSeo. He's just been the player they put out, and he finishes the game for them. And it really shows why, because he's playing so well in any matchup that he's in. All
right, well, we'll see what his PVZ is at the moment, as we are on Abyssal City. And, guys, we'll actually have details coming very soon about our map pool going forward, what our Heart of the Swarm map pool is going to be at IPL 6 versus the Wings of Liberty. We are definitely, I should say, switching things up. We're going to have a lot of cool new maps. Of course, we're going to give the pros plenty of time to practice them, but I think it's going to make for a very fun, dynamic tournament.
Yeah, bye-bye Abyssal City, man.
Yeah.
I'm done with this map. It was cool at first. I enjoyed it, but overall, it's still a little bit on the harder side for a majority of the matchups. A lot of our new maps, I feel, are really great. They're going to fit in the mid game pretty nicely, and they're also going to switch things up a little bit, too, also.
Yeah.
There's a lot of maps that are a little bit harder to grab your third. You have to play a little bit more conservatively or open up with some kind of aggression early, which I think Wings of Liberty really needs. So I'm really looking forward to him. I think we're making that decision within the next couple of days, so look out for that.
It's pretty much done. We're just kind of hashing out the last map here and there. So
slashing the eyes.
Exactly. It's precisely what I was thinking of. Yes. In any case, Snoot has not tried to contest this natural quite yet. In fact, just saving up and going straight for his third.
Yeah, he was really intelligent about that. He brought the drone out the ramp and didn't even toy with the probe. Went straight to that third. Any timing that he has or wants, it's still going to be solidified with having that hatchery going up right away because he will get the third to follow up afterwards. The only thing that's a little bit thrown off is your queen, because you usually make the first queen, follow up at a second one, and then get down to your natural. He might actually just hold on to that queen for a little bit, get some more drones out, and then create the queen when that natural finishes.
And looks like Tassadar is going to be able to get down here, sees the third, well under construction, and of course Snoot already has his Overlord overhead, so it's not going to be too difficult to hold this on against any sort of pressure that would hit there soon. For the time being, he finishes up a couple Zerglings, needs to take map control fairly soon, and Tassadar's not really tipped his hand yet, but then again, he won't for another couple of minutes.
Yep, falling for a second assimilator right away. What is Tassadar going to be following up to? We've seen him play a majority of weird strategies. I saw him use Void Ray last week. It was against Terran, but it was really cool because you'd never see Void Rays against Terran unless you're watching E versus Aphrodite in the GSTL, and that was a really cool game. But it was really cool with Tassadar using Void Rays, and he used it against MMA, actually, to counter the aggression that MMA threw at his way. Tassadar is not afraid to go for a weird strategy. He does not Sentry on Mortal all in like a majority of players. And wow, is he going to sneak a really quick third? That'd be really funny. No, I'm just going for another scout.
Yeah, of course, but needs a fresh probe out there. Manages to sneak it away from the Zerglings that were sitting out on the map. And Snoot does have his third base finished up, already transferring some drones there. Now, of course, there's a couple of problems with going for your third initially, though. It used to be something that was really popular with players whenever we saw tons of pylon blocks, gateway blocks at naturals and stuff like that. People would just go, okay, well, in the case of some players like Hyun, who would send out 2 drones at the same time, if his natural's not blocked, great. He puts that down and sends out a scout. If it is blocked, great. He harasses with the drone, sends the other one down to the third. That makes this a much more prime target, though, for early aggression, and that's certainly something that Snoot's going to have to worry about from Tassadar.
And he's doing a good job of worrying about it as well. He actually has an Overlord down in the bottom right corner, and this is where you see a pylon at for a lot of aggression that normally happens around that area. So with that Overlord floating near that direction, he knows, okay, if there's any aggression coming, it will be towards the middle of the map, and it will be spotted by these Nagas that I have control of actually on this bottom right side. So Snoot's prepared for that aggression that could be coming his way. A lot of players used to go into Void Ray aggression, and this was forever ago, and that's why it was really hard to grab that third. Because as a creep would never get to your third in time. But players have gotten way better at creep spread, and players have also gotten very quickly adapting to scouting early, around like a 6:30, 6:45 to see if any Void Ray aggression comes. So as long as Snoot stays with those guidelines, he should be able to defend anything.
And those Overlords are in position to watch for those pylons that we were talking about, and one's going to get dropped down. This is actually out of Snoot's vision. Is he coming back with an Overlord? No, I don't think so. So this could actually end up being pretty rough for Snoot. Let's take a look at his vision just to make sure. Yeah, that is just on the range.
Yeah, that's an awkward pylon. You usually don't see one in that area. Tassadar taking full advantage of it here. Has a Zealot, Stalker here, has another probe as well. He can keep up production if need be. And we have Snoot just now starting his Roach Warren, which is a little bit on the late side, which makes aggression, if it comes into his third, very, very much stronger. And Tassadar is going to be very happy with what he sees.
Yeah. Now the issue, of course, for for Snoot is that he wasn't able to pick up on this early enough. But for Tassadar is that he did only commit to 3 gateways with this, so it's not going to be as hard hitting of pressure as a +1/4 gate would. Although that build has somewhat fallen out of style. Snoot's done a nice job of keeping the majority of his drones alive, I have to say. But he's going to lose a couple of queens here in process, just because those 13 roaches are nowhere close to being done.
Oh, misclick with that queen. And now we're just going to have Tassadar able to just keep harassing the third. Finally, we have roaches on the way. Snoot's just trying to slow down the aggression and try to minimize the damage being done, but now roaches popping out and will get on that Stalker immediately here. Nice pullback there from Tassadar, but with only 3 gateways, he's not going to be able to deal with 13 roaches.
Regardless, though, still, this Stalker has done quite a bit more than he would have anticipated. The roaches slowly being whittled down. Unfortunately, Snoot was not really, or Tassadar wasn't able to target fire any of those out, so they all just kind of stay alive. And Snoot will be able to start establishing control of the map once again. Did he pick up on this pylon? Well, now he has.
Alrighty, man. Show the damage. What's the report here? How many workers were killed off? If we can check
let's
it out,
find out. 9.
Actually, not too bad. Would have expected a lot more damage there. It looked like, from my perspective, that Tassadar was doing a good job of sniping a lot of drones, but really it was the queens that were being killed off there, and Snoot did a good job of replenishing them very quickly, so not a big loss there.
You mentioned before, though, that Tassadar doesn't often, Sentry Immortal all in, but this time looks like it could happen, as we have their second and third Immortals already queued up, 7 gates in total, +1/+1 is on the way. This is going to hit a little bit later than he'd like, though, unfortunately, as he needs to be moving across the map generally at this point in the game. Snoot, though, is a little bit caught out, and that is a bit of a cause for concern. If those roaches are hit early on and Tassadar is able to make his way across the map and only has to fight about half the force he normally would, it would be very, very problematic for Snoot.
Snoot is playing this very nicely. Goes in straight for the third. It's 10 minutes and 30. You normally will have an expansion a little bit earlier there. You'll see it around like 9:39. Especially if it's a 3-gate pressure coming your way. And there's no expansion, so immediately Snoot starts up 11 spine crawlers. Okay, aggression is coming my way. It's going to be 2-base play. And I just need to make sure I'm pumping out units now. And he's doing just that, moving into Infestors because his lair finished up. He's going to be very well versed against defending this, especially if he can get Infestors out.
A little worried about the couple rounds of drones he just made, because he did actually see all these forces with the Overlord that he had sitting above his opponent's natural, and he sees the Warp Prism too, if he was looking at that time. I like the thought of a counterattack here to try and get units to pull back, but there is a potential for Tassadar just to make 1 warp in of units here, and with the Photon Cannon and the full wall, just kind of hold these roaches off indefinitely.
Alrighty, more roaches on the way, more spine crawlers being queued up. Everything that he could possibly do to try and defend against this is really important for Snoot. 6 more roaches being queued up, and the roaches are in the natural.
That's right, and they've actually done some pretty significant damage. Is he going to have enough to deal with this up at the front? Yes, there's a lot of spine crawlers here, but there's no units to be found whatsoever. These are doing not that great of a job at delaying, actually. These Immortals are just punishing the spine crawlers up at the front.
Trying to focus down the spine crawlers, as well as we have Snoot trying to focus down the Immortals, getting a little bit of damage on it. The roaches do make it straight into the main base. This third is in trouble, and that was the one that was actually the lair. And actually playing the lair is going to work out for Snoot because it's just slowing down the aggression coming into his natural, which is allowing him to get more spine crawlers up and 6 infestors. If these pop out and money fungals can land, Snoot could potentially hold it. He's killed off all production at the natural, or I'm sorry, all economy at the natural. And he just needs to defend this. It's really close, but there's only 3 Immortals here.
Yeah, but that's a lot of spine crawlers that are up at the front now, and they are actually starting to deal with these a little bit quicker. Good transfusions initially from the Queens. They don't have enough energy to keep these up now. 3 Immortals is still a ton of firepower, though, and they are actually able to make their way through pretty quickly.
Ling's going to go ahead and be the reinforced, running straight on in. We'll deal with that Zealot, and we have Tassadar. Not really able to reinforce, as he did lose that natural base. Remember, he doesn't have the economy to follow up with too much in terms of stalkers. He didn't lose many harvesters, but he can't mine from the natural, and so it's killing off his economy really hard here. Remember, he waited 7 gateways. He's expecting to constantly keep...
Oh, God.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
the
God.
fungal. Tassadar caught out of position.
That was a perfect fungal. The Immortals are dying very quickly. They're now completely unsupported. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of units to back up these Infestors. And oh my god, a ton of Infestors just died. So despite perfect fungal growth, Snoot just lost a lot of value in his army too.
Infestors didn't want to fight. They just want to dance, man. You see them just getting their dance on as they were force filled there. Unable to move, and Tassadar was able to clean that up. Had those Infestors actually put out their fungals as well, I feel like Snoot could have actually followed that up with some lanes and just killed it off. Unfortunately for him, he did not. Finally, the roaches have been cleaned up, it looks like, outside the natural and the main, so Tassadar will be forced to pull back, but now we're in a weird situation where Snoot's on 2 bases, trying to get a 3rd and 4th up, and he's trying to spend resources as well. He doesn't have too much floating around. But all he can really create is just pure roaches from here, because remember, he has to get another lair up.
Right, so we've kind of put a delay on this game for a bit, as Tassadar's going to need to catch up in economy here pretty soon. The Overlord's just sitting there and taking it. It doesn't even matter. Yeah, but I mean, Tassadar's, you know, getting close to mined out of his main. His natural is going to be pretty low soon, but it's going to be difficult for him to try and take and hold the 3rd base at this stage of the game, because he didn't do enough damage to his opponent to really justify the amount of resources that he put into that all-in.
Well, Snoot's going to get aggressive on the 3rd. He hasn't been in the Infestors, man. They're just shaking.
We're so scared. It's like, I heard what happened before, man. I don't know if I can do this.
That's the after effects of the Harlem Shake, man.
Oh, God. Yes. It affected one single Infestor.
That's right. I can't take it anymore. Well, Lings, we'll see the army there for the 3rd, which is a huge indicator. Okay, most likely he's going for a 3rd expansion. And Snoot's going to get his lair up. Still popping out a few more units, but he's going to start droning up really heavily here. Moving Spine Clawers down to 3rd, really wants to solidify grabbing these expansions as fast as possible. Keeping that creep moving as well, wants to stay away from any type of pylons being created. Snoot's going to look okay here, as long as he can prevent anything from sneaking by. A sneak by of any Zealots or some Stalkers maybe into the main, if there were Blink available on the field for Tassadar, could throw Snoot off.
All right, let's see here, though. As Snoot going to finally start taking this base, I think the probe finally picked up on this. Looks like he did. He just saw the edge of the creep here. I'm a little bit surprised about that, but hopefully he puts 2 and 2 together.
Pylon's going to be killed off, and again, that's just a positive here for Snoot. We are going to have the 3rd finish up for Tassadar, though. And remember, he does have 7 gateways from earlier, so he doesn't really need to create too much infrastructure for a while. So he can really just focus on defending and keeping that 3rd, just getting probes there constantly. Because he only lost 11 probes when that Roach counterattack came. So overall, I feel like Tassadar is in an okay position, but we're just in a hold position as everyone gets back into their tech. That's all it is, really. I think everyone's okay and on even grounds.
Yeah, I've got to give a little bit of an advantage to Snoot, though, because he did decide to go for 3 hatches at the same time, getting that production hatch up, reestablishing his 3rd, going to a 4th all at once. I do think gives him nice control of the map at this point, which is really what he needs. And also because Tassadar has been working on getting his own economy back up. That's pretty much all that's happened so far. Oh, and he actually misses his rally of probes and finally has to send it back now. He hasn't been able to appropriately secure this, so we don't have that big gateway wall that we need to defend against counterattacks from Zerg players at this stage of the game. So I think Snoot's in a pretty good spot.
+1/1 is going to finish up for Snoot as well, and he's got a hefty amount of Infestors here available, so he can land some nice fungals. Only 1 Colossus on the field for Tassadar. We'll be falling into the 2nd one now as it does pop out, and that's going to really help him out.
And a lot of roaches caught there for Snoot. He tries to make his way out of there and will successfully do so. Glare Constitution actually only started until right now, so that is a little bit of a cause for concern. That's going to allow the Stalkers to get up and poke a little bit of damage if they want to. No, actually, as Snoot does have pretty good creep spread after all of that shenanigans at the beginning of the game. He is actually able to survive with those roaches intact.
How many sentries does Tassadar have? Only a few.
6.
The Spire is really late just because of everything that happened. So Snoot's in a position where he can't really deal with this army quite yet because he's going to need Corruptors first, or a godly engagement in terms of a nice amount of surround, especially with the amount of sentries that are available here for Tassadar. So he's just waiting, biding his time for Tassadar to make a mistake to where a surround can happen, or until he can get Corruptors out. Yeah,
and unfortunately, okay, so he was waiting for to be able to put up those Corruptors, trying to delay for as long as possible. The resources were actually incredibly high a second ago, but he has to take all those larvae and put them into Zerglings. And against any sort of a Colossus force with decent force fields, they do not last all that long. So this is a delay tactic for Snoot. He can't lose the 3rd while this goes on. Or the 4th, I guess.
All right, gonna land a fungal, slowing down this army. It is split up by Tassadar pretty nicely, but there are a lot of Infestors here for Snoot. Landing another fungal as well. Ling's running on it. They do have +1/1. It's going to help him out in terms of shredding this Colossus, and he just has so much stuff here that Tassadar is just going to die off. Colossi running away. 4 of them, to be exact, still doing their best to micro, but Lings are just chasing over and over again.
Yeah, and now with Gleal Reconstitution done, these roaches can catch up to this fleeing army so much quicker. 3 hit points, and down goes yet another Colossus, and Snoot is all of a sudden at 100 supply advantage. So the round of Zerglings actually ended up working out pretty well for him.
Snoot will keep the aggression on as he has roaches popping out now, finally from the reinforcements that he was going to have available to him. You need to start beelining for that third. You really want to prevent your opponent from keeping that third mining way too long. Going to deal with the pylon, but again, his army here has jumped up so quickly. 194 to 86 supply. His game is essentially over if Snoot just goes for an aggressive push. Literally, he can take all of his roaches, do an A move, and just make sure he lands fungals, and he wins. All
right, well, we'll see how aggressive he actually wants to get here as he is maxed out again. In the closest possible. He's 194 over 194, so theoretically supply blocked, and he's making one more Overlord, but pretty much maxed. He has decent upgrades on the way, so we mentioned 2-2 is well on the way now. His opponent, what actually do we have for Protoss upgrades? 1-1. Okay, so they're on even upgrades right now. But Snoot can't wait for 2-2 to get finished.
Well, it's going to start moving towards this third, and you're right. You don't really want to wait too much longer. You're on 1-1. You can trade pretty effectively as long as you make sure you get nice engagements. Going to try and focus down this Colossus. Some nice micro from Tassadar, though.
Yeah.
Will prevent that from happening. But with 2-2 about to finish up and Shin Corruptors on the way, Snoot is going to have every availability to really just crush this army without even thinking about it. A few more force fields have been popped out, available for Tassadar, too, with sentries being created.
And it is one of those situations where Snoot's is really far ahead, no matter how you kind of want to cut it. So, I mean, he can wait. He can play the passive game, continue to get farther ahead at this point, go up to a 5th base, hive tech, etc., etc. And he is actually going up to hive tech right now. Or he can decide to push pretty soon and just try and choke his opponent out of this game, because if the third goes down, that's the only lifeline that Tassadar has right now.
Gonna try and get this 4th up. If somehow Snoot misses it and he's able to go up to this top left and try to get off the third, Tassadar can pull all of his probes and go down to that 3rd base, and that will allow him to slowly just drag his way into the game as he has started +2. But Snoot really wants in this game soon. You can tell just moving forward ever so slightly here. The creep as well, extending towards that 3rd so he can keep the reinforcements flowing as well. He has so much resources here. 1,500 to 1,800 gas just constantly popping up, moving into high tech at the same time. And here come the Corruptors.
Yep, that's right. So already picking away at the Colossi. Oh, look at the position. Look at the flank from the Corruptors around the back. 2 Colossi falling very quickly. A 3rd and 4th priority to go down here in a second. The Roaches have pretty much melted, except for the small group that's still going after the 3rd base. And it's purely coming down to infested Terrans now. Of course, not the recipient of any upgrades anymore, so they do die a little bit quicker. But without any AoE on this army whatsoever, Tassadar is going to have an extremely tough time fighting this off. And Snoot's immediately reinforcing with a bunch of units that are going to be continuing to attack here in a second. Lings, Roaches, yes, a few infestors in there, but as soon as this 3rd base goes down, this is an issue.
And he finds the 4th base at the same time. Infested Terrans, although low on DPS, should be able to finish it off. And GG is called. Team Liquid will be going up 4-2 thanks to Snoot.
And Tassadar is dished his first loss in IPTL. So, and it comes at the hands of none other than Snoot, Liquid's newest player. Kind of cool stuff.
Yeah, certainly. Now he's down to like 85% win ratio.
Yeah,
GG.
I know. So sad.
Not good enough, man. So, who's going to be coming out for NsHOSeo? This is potentially the last game. If Snoot can finish it off, of course, he will win. And then from there, we'll have Team Liquid move into Premier Division, and NsHOSeo will have to play again. But again, it all comes down to this next game.
That's right, and it is going to be Salvation as the last player for NsHOSeo, which seems very fitting just given his name, but he could indeed be their salvation. Guys, we're going to go to a commercial break, but when we get back, it'll be time for game number 7 here, IPTL Up and Downs.